So over the past 4 years of my YouTube channel, I have tried every video writing technique you can imagine. I've bought Notion templates. I had this Google Doc where I was compiling all this information from other YouTubers. I've tried scripting. I've tried just outlining, and some of it is so overwhelming. Some of it's easy, but it doesn't work. And I just want to condense all that trial and error for you into just a few minutes because the techniques are so simple actually. And once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. I'm going to take you into my book of secrets, I guess we could call it. And like I always say, if the method doesn't work when you're feeling lazy, then the method doesn't work. So I promise that if you're feeling lazy, you will still be able to do this so you can actually be consistent and you can actually consistently launch and grow a successful YouTube channel. So there are 2 phases to this process and I'm gonna use 2 pages for it. We're gonna start with the first page, and the first page is for you, the content creator. You're gonna write it out in the way that you think about it, in the way that makes sense to you. And so it's always important to not just wanna go straight into outlining, but it's important to make it messy, brain dump everything, the points, the subpoints. It can be messy, spread it out however you want to, whatever you think of, go ahead and say it. And then we will move on to packaging it in a way that would actually make sense to the viewer. So then we're gonna add some organization to it. So I want you to look at all of those messy points and see, are there any of these that could be cut out? Because a lot of YouTube is not all these things that you add, it's what do you subtract? What's the central thing I wanna say? And I'm gonna say the minimum required to get that point across. So then once you have the points that you wanna use, you're then gonna order them. Now some videos are sequential, like step 1, step 2, step 3. But if it's just like a list video, I would recommend choosing the best points and ordering them first. So I put little numbers next to them. This is point 1, this is point 2, this is point 3. And it's always good to just keep the organization so basic. There are lots of places to be creative on YouTube, but viewers love familiar organization. Now we're gonna flip to the right-hand page, and this is where we're going to package it for the viewer. So I'm gonna split the page into 3 sections, and we're gonna focus on writing these points in order in the middle section, but in a specific way that will optimize for retention. So the way we wrote them probably on the previous page is step 1, you should make your bed, supporting evidence, you'll have more motivation, you'll be more productive, and it'll get you in momentum for the day. But what we actually need to do is frame it in a more chronological way for the viewer. And a viewer would experience something as, I have this need, what's the promise you're gonna give me, and what's the solution? And we need to frame it in that way. So a really easy way to reframe this is just to flip the order we wrote it in. List the supporting evidence first, and then the solution to hold on to the retention. So you say, if you want to have more motivation, you feel like you're procrastinating, you want a really simple evidence-based way to start your day off right, it's easier than you think, you should just make your bed. And so what we're gonna do is, in that middle section, we're just gonna take the points in order that we wrote them, but we're gonna flip the order. Okay, so we have outlined the body of the video, but we haven't really talked about, do I script, do I just outline, what do I do? In the top and bottom sections of that piece of paper, that is where I'm going to script the hook and the outro. And I do it very specifically using copywriting techniques. Now, copywriting is writing that is written with the intent to persuade someone typically to buy something, but it's also could be to persuade someone to keep watching, which is really good for YouTube. So if you want techniques for how to script YouTube videos, copywriting is the search term that I would look into right away. It's so monumental. And what's part of copywriting is you start seeing everything as a template. You start realizing that there are common themes everywhere in all these big YouTube videos, to the point where anytime I saw one of these templates, I would write it down in this hook book. So I want to show you what some of these templates are. Let me read you this hook and outro template, and I promise you, once you start seeing this, you cannot unsee it. You're going to see it everywhere in tons of YouTube videos. So you want this promise. You've heard X advice, Y advice, Z advice, and you feel some bad emotion. And all you want is a new or easy technique to get this big promise so you can get this amazing result without putting in more work. This is jammed with very common things in copywriting. For outros and transition between points, I use a very similar template if I do use it. And it's usually something like, here's a connecting thing to make it sound like we're still on the previous point, but that would be nothing without this information. So make sure you watch this video. Or I might say, so in the next point, we're gonna talk about this. So this mix of scripting and outlining is a really good first step to the process, but it really is only step 1. And if you wanna know the complete process, if you're a beginner for how to film videos, from the filming to the editing, to the thumbnail to posting, check out this video where I walk you start to finish through the whole process.